Welcome back to the Cart Barn Podcast. Chris Limley and Greg DeWalt. As always, we appreciate you listening in. Greg, this past weekend was our Christmas in April, the Masters weekend. It was pretty exciting. Finished with the playoff. What? Tell me your thoughts on the Masters.
I was talking about it last night to some folks, and you know, the golf wasn't always great, but it was scintillating. Just the roller coaster that everybody was experiencing and was amazing. I think if you're talking about great golf, you look back at Tiger in '97, just blowing away the field with incredible golf. Rory made it very interesting on his quest to get the career grand slam. Hit some shots you were head scratchers, and then hit some shots that he's like, that's why he's the number one, number two player in the world.
The wedge shot in regulation into 18. I'm like, and 13. Those are just he just wiped it basically, and then and to miss them right, but gosh, he hit a doozy on the first playoff hole. That was a great shot. But you and I just had Rich Lerner on, and I was watching him yesterday morning on a podcast with on Five Clubs with Gary Williams, and he was talking about he had written this great piece for Rory, and then as he's watching this, it's like, well, Rose could win, or all these different scenarios playing out, and he's like, for the love of everything good, Rory, finish this.
Yes.
It was kind of interesting, for sure. But
Yeah, and you almost felt bad for Justin Rose, who played the best round of possibly of the tournament, shooting 66 in the last round to get in,
absolutely,
to get to the playoff. And he's such a good guy. Seems like that all of a sudden, wow, you got these two guys, and he hit a great shot in the playoff. Just I think getting above the hole kind of hurt him a little bit. That was a tough downhill slider to try and make.
yeah.
But then I was wondering, will Rory even hit the hole with his winning putt, even though it was 2 feet, 3 feet?
It went in, and that's all that really matters. But it didn't look to me like a really good stroke.
Even after Rory had made double on 13, he hit great shots, and he just couldn't convert the putt. I think I saw a stat where he was like 43rd in the field in putting, and to win, being 43rd in putting, that doesn't happen out there.
Well, I think he's the first guy to ever win with 4 doubles in the
Four
tournament.
double, yeah. And he
So
was about a foot away on 11 to making 5 doubles
you're
on that
right.
punch out of the trees.
Wow.
But the Masters really never disappoints. I think, as from just a fan standpoint, I think we were all clamoring for that Bryson Rory. I'm making birdie, you're making birdie on top of me down the stretch, and that didn't pan out. But Rory just made a couple mistakes there. Again, that wedge on 13 was a really head scratcher because with that lead, you shouldn't even be looking at the pin. And I don't know, I don't know what happened there, but
Yeah, Nicholas, they interviewed Nicholas, and he's like, they asked him about his layup on 13, and he says, I think that was the right play. He said the only way that he loses the tournament is to hit it in the water. He said he took an extra shot before he got it in the water, but
yeah,
so
I mean, in retrospect, he would have been better off going for it and hitting it in the water, and but anyway, it worked out for Roy. I got to give some kudos to CBS coverage because after he made the winning putt, they shut up for 7 minutes just to let it soak in the emotion and the walk, off the 18th green. Lots of times broadcasters stumble all over themselves trying to, make the moment as big as possible. And I think CBS did a really nice job just getting out of the way, letting us watch Rory the embrace with Shane Lowry was really a nice moment.
Sure.
So
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting out of the way, you and I get out of the way and introduce this week's guest. We've got Tim King. People in North Alabama, especially the Florence Shoals area, know who he is. People in other parts of the state and country might not, but Tim is a PGA professional. He's been in the business for a while, and he's been a golf coach at several different places. He's recently taken the newly formed golf program at Northwest Shoals Community College, a place where he went to school. Um, and he's involved in some other things.
yeah, Tim's a really good guest. We had a nice conversation with him about all he's involved in. But besides taking over the Northwest Shoals Community College program, the reinvention, because back in the day they did have a program, and then they dropped it, and now they've started it back up. He's over the men's and women's program, but he also is involved with the Chris and Patricia Burns Foundation, which helps out junior golf immensely in the Shoals area. And he's involved in some things at the Walhalla Golf Driving Range up in Green Hill. And I think everybody will enjoy listening to Tim talk about his involvement in these activities.
Yeah. Well, let's get into this week's podcast with Tim King. Welcome back to the Cart Barn Podcast. This week, we're joined by Tim King. Tim, thanks for stopping by the Cart Barn. Looking forward to your visit.
No, thank you. I think I texted you yesterday, looking back at the guests you guys have had. The coaches that have been on here, and I'm grateful that you guys allow me to be on here based on the past people y'all had on here, Coach Sewell and Gator and some of those people. So thank y'all. It's special for me to be able to be here.
Well, good deal. Glad you're here. Let's just jump right in. I mean, there's a lot going on in your world right now as the new coach of the Northwest Shoals Patriots golf team, men's and women's golf team.
Yes.
Probably pulling down 6-7 figures to get that job.
Well, I don't know about that. They call it a part-time job. Coaching is not a part-time job. So, but no, I'm excited about it. To be able to. I think the biggest thing for me is I went to school there. When I was going there in 88, there was no golf. They didn't have golf there. They had two sports, basketball and I think girls softball. But to be able to come back and coach somewhere you actually went to school, I went to school there. So the school's an easy sell because I really enjoy going to school there. The school taught me a lot of different things. So I can sell the school to kids. I'm going to have to create a program with a good culture where I can sell the program. So I'm excited about it. I didn't think I would get it. I was kind of worried about not getting it. I really wanted it regardless of part-time, full-time. So I'm just really excited about building the programs and creating a really good culture there.
Well, you talk a little bit about how you go about building a program. Are you going to be focusing mostly on local kids from a 3 or 4 or 5 county area, or are you going to expand the reach a little bit?
Well, that was the thing. 70% they want local. We can't recruit international kids, so that's kind of thrown out. Alabama can't do that, so you can't even really look there. And I'm gonna try to recruit 100% local. I mean, I have so far. And if you look at the talent level, like I was at the county yesterday, Brooks they're really talented. Haleville's talented. And when I say talented, they're talented enough to you're going to have kids that will go other places, but you're going to have those kids that, those 74, 75, 73 kids that can come in and really help a new program. So, but we're going to try to do it all local. If I had to reach out to, I wouldn't want to go far out, but Birmingham or somewhere like that. So you have to just, you have to really look because talent in North Alabama golf is not what it used to be. Back when I started the NAGA, if you look at junior golf back in 92, 93, when Gator was young, Andrew Medley, Daniel Creel, there were so many really good junior golfers, and it's kind of fell off, but it's kind of picking back up. So sometimes you got to look a little hard, but you can find them. I feel like I found 7 really good men to come in August.
What is there any kind of a draw maybe because UNA's program is doing well, and then also the quality of courses you guys might have an opportunity to play around here?
No, 100%. Cypress is our home course. We're gonna utilize RTJ some, and then the foundation. Chris's foundation is because a lot of those guys played back when they had Lee Fowler, and there's a couple more. Scott Whittle played there, so he's a part of the Chris's foundation, and they're really supportive of what we're trying to do. So we're going to build a golf suite on campus. We'll have a GC Quad simulator inside. I want to make it really nice for a place for them to go study, have a place they can hit some putts and just kind of hang out. So that'll help us with recruiting too, having that tool in our
Sure.
toolbox to be able to show kids. So, and the courses for sure, so yeah.
When when you go about building a program, I mean, this is from the ground up, so it's kind of like got your imprint on it wherever. How do you approach what kids to recruit? Not only just because they might be talented or just kind of on that fringe of being really talented, opposed to the academic aspect of it and everything.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I look at academics first. I mean, I really do. I mean, but most golfers are good students anyway. But that's very important to me, the academic side of it. When I was building the programs at Talladega, the really I had no really I didn't have any support at the school. My support came from people outside of the college, which made it harder, right, to build a program when the school's not really supporting it and they're just trying to add another program. They don't they're not financially. I'd have to go out, I'd have to raise extra money, so I was having to reach out to people outside of the school. That's how I created the relationship with Shaquille, through Bobby Clayton. Justin Riggin introduced me to Bobby, and then Bobby introduced me to Shaquille's agent, and then Shaquille's agent introduced me to Shaquille. So I was having to reach out to all different places. It's different at Northwest. The school's very supportive of it, so it'll be a lot easier to build a program because of the school and Eddie Franks and the president. You got internal support, and I know I've already got the external support, the foundation and the community. So the community's really excited about it. So it won't be as hard to do, but yes, I want to make sure that we have, that we're, good in the classroom. We give back to our community. We're going to do SNAG golf stuff with the foundation. We're going to go into the schools and just like UNA was helping us do. So we're going to combine all that and do that. And then of course on the course. So it's, classroom, community, and course. Those are my three criteria. You got to be good in the classroom. You need to be in your community, supporting the community that's supporting you. And then, developing and getting better on the golf course. But that's really last. But if you do those things, success will come. I mean, it's a byproduct of it.
So Tim, as you're building a program, what conference are you going to be in, and have you been able to get you a schedule laid out yet, or are you still working on that?
Yeah, we're working on it. So I've always coached NAIA golf, so I'm JUCO golf's new to me, so I'm trying to learn a lot of the stuff. So there's 3 divisions in junior college. So, and they crown national champions in all 3. Is Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. So they crown national champions in all of those divisions. So Calhoun and Wallace State and a lot of those schools were in Division 1, and they have since gone to Division 2, and just because it's so competitive, because it's a lot of Texas and Oklahoma schools, and they can recruit internationally. They got kids can live on campus. Can't do that in Alabama. So Jeff State and all those schools have moved to Division 2. Well, we were going to go Division 1. So I called Taylor and I was like, hey, let's consider, we'll spend less money. It's just, you don't got to travel as far. And those guys, the coach at Richard at Calhoun and those guys have created a really good model for this area. There's 13 junior colleges in that. So if we host a tournament, all of them will come to it. If Richard hosts a tournament at Calhoun, everybody will go to that. So scheduling will be a whole lot easier. So we went Division II, which was, I was glad because it's like I said, it'll be less expensive. Scheduling will be easier. We've already booked our home tournament October the 6th and 7th at Cypress. So, we'll start in August and then we'll play our first home event there. So the schedule will be, those 12 schools, when they have events, that's where we'll go play. So I don't really have to, worry about schedule. The schedule kind of makes itself for us. So, and that's never happened for me at other schools. I've always had to kind of figure out where we're going to go play and travel 10 hours, 12 hours. I don't have to do that. So, it's, on an old man, it's, I'm getting old and it's hard for me to travel and stay up. So it'll be good for me as well as the kids.
When you're talking about the other schools, are there some of the Mississippi schools and Tennessee schools involved in that Division II conference, or is it just Alabama schools?
That Mississippi Gulf Coast, I think they're really good. They win a lot of national championships. We will compete against them, but they're not in the 12 schools. The ones I know of is us, Jefferson State, Calhoun, and Wallace State. There's 7 or 8 more schools. CAC is not in any of that. CAC is going to stay Division I. They're always really competitive. So they decided to stay Division I. We're going to go Division II. It gives us a better chance to compete for a conference, I think, early in our program. Just looking, when I've gone to look at scores from those schools that we're going to be competing against, if we can come in and we can be competitive. I really believe that, and that's what you want. You want to just be competitive.
So go back just a minute and let's talk about the lack of ability to recruit internationally. Why is that?
Well, okay, so I've always liked it. At Talladega, I could recruit internationally. I had a kid from Pakistan, Demila Tula, who's going to be a really good player, and then I recruited 2 kids at Martin Methodist from Ireland. But in JUCO, Alabama has a law or a rule. You cannot, Alabama JUCOs cannot cannot recruit international students. I think international students can come there. Now, if you've got an international student on campus that's a golfer, you could have them, but you can't go actively recruit them. Alabama will not let you do that, which, if you think about it, I mean, I like giving American kids chances, right? But to have that, to be competitive is, those kids actually, they work harder, they're like, they come from different backgrounds. So like, I've always had success with international kids. I'm not saying they're better than American kids, but they tend to work harder than the American kid does. So I wish we could do it, because I would take that 20% or 30%. I would find a couple of them, bring them in to help the program. But, we did this. Alabama won't let you do it right now.
So that's a Alabama JUCO thing.
Yes, I didn't know that till like I said, I've never coached JUCO golf. This is all new to me, so I'm trying to learn everything and learn how everything works. I've always coached NAIA golf, so yeah.
Well, we all know there were no rules in NAIA, right?
Zero. Like recruiting, like the other stuff that I do, like the recruiting consultant I'm doing, helping kids, and if you're at an NCAA school, you can't do that. Because it's an unfair advantage to other schools. But with recruiting budgets and the way they are, like it's like. But I've never brought a kid to play for me who I've helped with their recruiting. Like if I've helped a kid build their website and help them with all their stuff, like I'm helping Anna Lee. I would bring Anna Lee there if I could get her. I'm helping her with recruiting, but like I've never done that, so I've never tried to use that as an advantage. I've always wanted kids to go where the best fit for them. That's the key, where they're going to be happy and the best fit. So like, yeah.
So structurally on the team, what can you offer a kid? Is it tuition and books and room and board, or what? And are they all full scholarships? How does that work?
Yeah, so I've 7 and 7. So I got 7 men, 7 women full. We don't offer room and board, so the local kids, that's where they benefit. A local kid that can commute and make it work. I mean, that's 2 years of school paid for, and and they're even allowing the kids to go to summer school if they want to stay ahead or get ahead. So, I've never heard of that either. A scholarship including a summer session of school. So that's what we have. Since we're starting the program, if you think about it, so 25s are coming in, right? I've got 7 guys. If I've only got 7 scholarships on both sides, unless kids leave, I can't, it's going to be, impossible to bring in 26s. And we're going to have some good 26s coming out from Brooks and Lauderdale County, Haleville. I've got a couple Haleville kids coming in August. They're really good, but it's just gonna be hard. So I'm gonna try to get 3 more. See if we can go to 10 on the men's side. That way I could have a little room. And then there's a kid from Muscle Shoals coming that's a 24. He graduated last year, so he's already been there a year. So he'll only play a year. Braden Williamson from Muscle Shoals is playing. So but I want to be able to bring in some of those 26s, but they're full. Except room and board. And that's easy to recruit too. I talked to a girl from Lauderdale County who wants to be a nurse, and I'm like, hey, I think she shot 100 yesterday, but she's a really good player. I watched her a little bit, and I said, hey, if you want to be a nurse, come play golf for 2 years and get it paid for. So that helps, right? Local kids, when you can say, hey, you can live at home and you can get your school paid for. So, but that's kind of where we're at right now with scholarships.
Gotcha.
Yeah, let's jump into the women's side of things, because we all know that the talent pool is not as deep as the men's side around here, especially if you have to stay local or need to stay local.
Yeah.
How do you kind of go about finding competitive kids and being maybe able to compete?
Well, it's hard. I was thinking about some things. Like I said, I've always coached NAIA golf. JUCO's a little different. So Richard Morgan's a really good friend of mine. He coaches at Calhoun. So I call Richard up and we're talking, and he's just now taking the women over full time. So he has both. His job's full time now. So he said he took one of his girls, Gracie Prince, I think, Gracie, she qualified individually last year, so they got to go to the national tournament. And he said the top 8 or 10 teams in the country only had 4 girls on their team. 4. So, if at the national level, if that's what college women's golf looks like in junior college, then, it's going to be really hard to recruit. But, right now I got 2. I got a girl from Tennessee. I got a girl from Rogers who's verbal, but she hasn't. I talked to a girl from Lauderdale County, and then I got a girl coming from Phil Campbell who's about to graduate. So that would be 4. If they all, if the other 2 decide to come, then I'll have 4. And I really need to just find 1 or 2 more. If we can have 5, 6, I think Taylor would be okay with that for this year. Now next year, 26, there's a couple girls from Haleville that are interested. There's a couple girls from Lauderdale County that are interested. So, we may be able to have, 7 in year 2, but it's just hard. It's hard all over the place. I've talked to other coaches and everybody's having a hard time finding, the women to come play, because the ones that are good enough, they're going to go somewhere else, right? The ones that are kind of that level of golfer, most of them have been really, dad wanted them to play, so they played, and now they want to go to college and join a sorority and just enjoy the college life. And I get that, but I get that a lot. Hey, I'm just going to go to college. I'm going to join a sorority and I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to practice and have to do all the things I've been doing in high school. So, you run into that a lot on the women's side.
I think that's kind of where not being able to recruit internationally will hurt, because international players are clamoring to come over and find a place to play. And you look at a lot of the mid-major Division I programs, even the high level Division I. There's always 1, 2, 3, 4 foreign players that are really good.
Yeah, I don't get that. I realize that I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
International players were very prevalent on, in JUCO, Division two, Division one, but especially in JUCO, they were everywhere, and in Alabama. So I guess that's changed at some point. But to Greg's point, um, on the women's side, if you don't have an interest or a deep interest, and I'm sure that there are some talented international players that would love the opportunity. I don't know.
It's kind of a catch-22, I think, for the junior college system, because those community colleges were built to give everybody, an opportunity to go to college. And I don't think the athletics came into play when they were, building this junior college system. And now once you throw athletics in there, well, you're trying to be competitive. Coaches want to compete. They want to win championships. And to do that, you've got to go out and get the best players. But it's kind of a hindrance when you can't go out and get the best players. And I get it. You want to give local kids a chance, an opportunity to go to college, regardless of their athletics. But it is kind of a hindrance to really building a competitive team.
I was just, thinking about what Greg was. I mean, he is so right about that. I get emails all the time from, services internationally who they help kids in other countries find places to go play. And I could load up a girls team tomorrow with girls who they want to be over here and get an education and play golf. Like I could find 7 in probably a week. I could have 7 international girls that would come here and play. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I think, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people throughout my career in sport as a sports writer, that there's kind of like a misinformation. Like when you go to UNA and play, and you see a sparse crowd, and they will say, well, if you recruit more local kids, more people will show up to watch whatever sport. And yeah, you might get a little bump in the crowd, but if you're not winning, you're not getting the other, people aren't going to show up to watch you play. And the level, and again, I'm more familiar with UNA aspect of it, but that level of that UNA is playing at now in Division One, even when they were Division Two, that was a super high level. And coaches keep their jobs because they win.
Mm-hmm.
You can graduate, all 100 football players with 4.0, but if you're 0-11 or 0-12 at the end of the day, you ain't keeping your job long. So there's a balance there, but I don't think sometimes people realize the quality of competition that is once you get to college, whether it's junior college, NAIA, that level of competition is ramped up, and you can't always win with the local kid. And that's just, I've had plenty of arguments with people over that, and it wasn't a very popular argument to make to people, but you can see it a lot of places. Kids sign football, basketball, and they get on campus, and it's a different animal. And you're playing against men, or women. You're not playing against a 14-year-old ninth grader, where you can dominate. It's a different game on all levels collegiately.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys play. Y'all know. So, I tell kids all the time, like, high school golf and college golf at any level does not correlate. Like, you can't base how you're going to, compete coming right out of high school to college golf, because you get moved back. The courses are set up, harder. The competition, like you said, Greg, is like very, very. It's long. It's not just a few kids. So I try to tell kids all the time, look, don't come in as a freshman because you've played really well, in high school. Don't think you're going to come in and dominate. Now you could, but don't have that, don't have that expectation, because that expectation. I talk to kids about expectation management all the time. If your expectation is not what it should be, it's going to be hard to manage that, and then you're going to get frustrated. And so I try to talk to kids a lot about, when I'm recruiting them, hey, It is what it is. Hopefully you'll do that, but don't expect that.
Yeah, there's no easy path, and a lot of these kids, even though your kids are probably going to be living at home, it's you got to time management between practice. Academics is ramped up quite a bit over some high schools, and then there's most of your high school golfers. There's not a lot of fitness going on in high school. In college, there's all the fitness aspect of it. And I'm sure you will be incorporating that into your program. So
Yeah.
it's a different animal, and not everybody can do it, regardless of how talented you might be.
Yeah. No, definitely the fitness part. A lot of kids aren't used to getting up and working out in the morning. We'll be doing that, and Nicole Hagee, she played at Auburn, really good collegiate golfer. She works for Golf Forever now, and that's Scotty Scheffler uses it. It's strengthening mobility. We're going to use that. That's what we're going to use because it's the safest. I think it's the best. If you got kids pumping heavy weights, and I want it to be golf oriented fitness. It's not going to be easy because it's not easy, but that's something that I've done it before, but I was scared to do it because a lot of those fitness coaches, like, I want to make sure that we're focusing on the golf fitness. But back to your point, yeah, a lot of kids, like, there's so many different, it's not just waking up, going to school and playing golf. In college, it's like waking up, working out, going to class, practice, study hall. If you have to go to study hall, I've never really had to deal with that much, but it's a whole nother animal when you get to the collegiate level. I don't care what level it's at.
Let's switch gears a little bit and jump into the Chris and Patricia Burns Foundation and what you guys have got going on there.
Yeah, man, we're doing some really, really good stuff with the high schools. When Chris was living, he always had the big fundraiser to raise money for high school programs. Well, when we raise the funds, we're either doing snagging schools, or if a school needs golf bags, we've bought schools bags this year. We've put simulators in 2 or 3 different high schools. We're going to continue to do those things. So the foundation, I think, is going to be really good for not just junior golf around here, but it's going to be really good for high school golf. And I think the best thing for me being a part of it is Chris actually got to see it before he passed. Like, he got to see what everything we were doing. The high school tournament that I've started in, is in his and Patricia's honor for what they've done for junior golf in this area. He was able to be there the very first year we did that, and he handed out the awards to all the kids. So, just to carry on his legacy, and like what he did in the area for junior golf, that's the biggest thing for me. And it's people support it. Like, it's been well supported. The SNAG thing has been really good. In the last 2 years, I think we've introduced golf to about 6,000 kids in all the elementary and middle schools in Lauderdale and Cobbett County. And we've put SNAG equipment in those schools that the PE teachers can use to continue to find those kids who, not all kids are going to be interested in it, but you want to find those outliers. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the outliers at a younger age to grow them up to maybe build high school golf programs around here. So you're not, you never know what kids is out there who is talented, but they've never been introduced to it, who could be really good at it. You think about Tiger. If Tiger's dad had never, pushed him into golf, I mean, just because of, they were talking, always talked about how he had such a hard time because of their color of their skin, getting on golf courses and stuff. So you just think about Tiger's dad. If he hadn't pushed him to that, there's other kids out there like that may not have ever been introduced to the game. So that's what we're trying to do with the foundation and help high schools.
For those that don't know, that are listening and not from this area, explain SNAG.
Okay, yeah. So SNAG, Terry Anton, whom I met through Gene Diamond, him and Gene were really good friends, and Chris used SNAG and all of his camps and clinics. He used it as well. So I met Terry Anton, he's the he's the founder of SNAG Golf, starting new at golf. And it's the clubs have the right grips on them. So when the kid holds it, or even the adult, I mean, we've got long clubs for adults, so adults can use it that want to get into the game. The perfect grip, the club head's big, it's plastic. You use tennis balls, Velcro balls that are uh, a little bit bigger than ping pong balls, so it makes it fun and easy. It makes it to where you're not trying to hit that little ball with a smaller club. So it teaches the right movements and the right fundamentals, but it makes it easy. So kids and even adults, like I said, we're going to do snag. We're having Snag Day Saturday. UNA men's team's going to come out. We're going to do it at Wahali, and we've invited everybody. It's free, adults, kids, whoever wants to come that maybe wants to learn to play. We're gonna do Snag Day this Saturday at Wahali. So, like I said, UNA's golf team will be out to help us, their men's team. So that's Snag. Snag in a nutshell is starting new at golf. It makes it easy for the person that wants to take a try at it.
It's a great program. I was fortunate enough to attend one. I think the Mars Hill, when they introduced it at Mars Hill, and the kids have a blast. I mean, they're whacking that ball and whatnot, and it's really fun for them. And I think once you get a youngster engaged that may otherwise not, it's a great way to get them at least introduced to the game. Where if they don't start right away, maybe in a couple of years they say, "Hey, we did this in PE." I think the key though is keeping the schools engaged in it too. Once you've provided them the equipment to get the teachers to continue going forward.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, that's what we've noticed. So what we're trying to do now is like I said, the foundation supports the program at Northwest. It's the hardest part has been finding people to go help, because you've got 70 kids in some of those county school classes. It's hard to manage that. But now having the golf team at Northwest Shoals, we're gonna take that on. UNA can come when they can come. Their schedule's a lot different than our schedule's going to be. We're not going to be traveling, way off to play golf. So they'll help when they can. But we're going to take that. The school, I'm going to take that on with the golf programs. We're going to go into the school so we can make sure that it happens, because it's like you said, it's like you have to make sure that the PE teachers are using it, because equipment's expensive. The foundations put it in there to be used, so we're going to utilize it through the golf program at Northwest.
One thing I'd like to mention too, and get your thoughts on it, is getting some simulators into some of these schools. I know for a place like Waterloo, which is a rural school, tiny school, there's no golf course probably within 40 miles of Waterloo. Blackberry's probably the closest, or
Yeah.
I don't know if Clifton up in Tennessee is close, but for them to get a simulator for their golf team, which is, I think they restarted it last year or maybe the year before. I mean, that's a huge momentum boost for them to be able to not have to go to the golf course every day and, put that strain and burden on parents getting their kids to a course.
Yeah, no, we were up there. Lee and I went up there. Well, Patricia went with us. I think it was maybe a week ago or a week and a half ago. The newspaper came out and did a story on it, and we were up there while they were doing the story. The kids that are there love it. I think the key there is going to be to make sure that we're focused on those younger kids and bring them up, because they got one guy. They had 4 guys, 3 quit. They were brand new to the game. A kid named Kanan, he's still playing. He's been playing 2.5 months. I've been working with him some at Wahali, but like they've got to like really dive into the younger kids and try to grow up the program. But Bridget does a great job. She is she is dedicated to those kids. She loves those kids, and I mean, it's only up for them now. But yes, to answer your question, for them to have that on campus, is the GC Quad is like it'll help them. It'll help them develop and find those other kids to come in and participate on the golf team.
What else has the foundation got going on?
So our Cinco de Mayo, our fundraising tournament will be at Turtle Point. Anybody that hadn't signed up or if they watch this, get signed up and play in it. Like the foundation really does good stuff. There's that we're not paying out salaries to nobody. Like, we pay volunteers. If UNA's golf team comes to help Snag Days, we make sure that they get money for their program, right? So, but it's doing a lot of great things. So the biggest thing is the fundraiser on the 5th. We got the dinner on the 4th at Turtle Point, and then the tournament's actually the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo. So other than that, just continuing to support the high schools. We actually got apples and water for the kids yesterday, and then we got Chick-fil-A breakfast for the coaches for the county tournament. So those are the things we're doing. We're just trying to be there and be a support and an arm for, not only the junior golfers in the community, but the high school golfers. So that's pretty much what we're doing right now.
One thing I think, Chris, we probably should mention when we talk about Chris and Patricia Burns. Chris was a long time professional at Florence Country Club. He was I always dubbed him kind of like the Pied Piper of junior golf around here, because you would go out to his clinics and there would be 120 kids following him around. And, he really embraced the junior golf aspect. There's not a person in the Shoals who probably at least didn't attend one of his clinics in their lifetime. And he had a vision for golf, junior golf. He embraced it. And of course, he's since passed away, but he's the reason so many people around here are playing golf, and it's great to see his name being carried on. And Patricia, his wife, she was there every step of the way, also with Chris, and embraced it also. So that's just for our listeners who aren't familiar with the Shoals area. But Chris Burns he was a legend in junior golf around here, just for the way he conducted his clinics and was teaching everybody under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
And he had one pretty decent student for sure.
I
Stuart
don't know
Sink.
who you're talking about. He may have been a guest on our show
He
before.
may have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Stuart Sink, who 2009 Open Championship winner. Which on another subject, of course, y'all saw Stuart Sink's tweet the other day about how the whole world was pulling for Rory, and he could figure out. He knew the emotions going through that, because for Justin Rose, everybody was pulling for Rory, and probably not a lot of people for Justin. So anyway, well, Tim, what else? You got anything else for us? I know you're up at Wohali.
Yeah, like we're going to be doing this. So we're starting ADM, the American Development Model, which the PGA adopted a couple years ago. It's basically what ADM does is ADM, it started with hockey, and then hockey used the American Development Model for long-term athlete development. The PGA of America adopted it, created a curriculum for golf. PGA members can get certified in ADM. I took the courses and got certified. I'm also PGA coach certified. So we're going to be doing 8-month programs starting next month. So when your kid signs up, it's not a 4-day camp. It's every Saturday for 7 or 8 months. And it basically what ADM does is it's not just, it develops athletes, right? Because it teaches the proper movement patterns. There's 5 key principles. I have them somewhere, but there's 5 key principles to it. So ADM's really good. I don't think the PGA of America would have adopted it. Hockey was very successful with it, developing their athletes. So we're going to use it. We're going to start doing that at Wohali. That'll start next month, and we're going to have Snag Days. And we're just what we're trying to do at Wohali is we're trying to have a place where kids can go get completely developed, like technical, mental, physical, nutritional, hydrational. So if you have a junior golfer who wants to really work toward the collegiate level golf, we want to make sure at Wohali we have all those pieces together for them. So we're working on that. Eventually, we want it to become not a full-time academy, but a place where an academy where kids can come get everything they need to develop the right way. Because I just, to me, for a kid to, when a kid comes and stands in my bay for an hour, and we just work on technical stuff, they're not learning how to play the game. Get on the golf. You got to be on the golf course. That's where you learn to play course management, picking strategic and smart targets and not making mistakes. So kids can learn technical, but we want to be able to make sure that they have the ability to have everything, like a la carte, ever how you say it, right? We want it to be a la carte. So they have, they have all the pieces, so we're working on that. Keith, Thigpen, the owner, and we've really dove into that. We're really trying to create an environment where kids can come out and develop. Because I'm big on that. I think you got to develop them the right way. You can't it's not just technical. You can be the most sound technical player in the world, but if you don't have the mental side, the course management side, all those things that you need, it's going to be harder to be successful, I think.
Yeah, that's true. How many times have you been on the range and seen somebody that just stripes it shot after shot, and they get on the golf course and they just don't seem to transcend to a really, really good score?
Yeah.
That's
that's
it's
true.
a long walk from the practice range to the first tee.
It's so true. But other than
Even if
that,
you're at Huntsville Country Club, where it's like 3 steps away, it's still a long walk.
Yeah. Those.
Well,
if we
Walhaley's
started,
up in Green Hill, Alabama. So
yeah,
free
it's not far.
plug, free commercial for Walhaley.
Yeah.
Really nice facility up there. TrackMan, correct?
TrackMan. It was what was the Top Tracer? It was Top Tracer.
Top Tracer. Now it's TrackMan.
Key switched to TrackMan. We got that practice area. Greg, you did a story on it when they first opened it, I think. So, it's a really good facility, and Keith is really willing to put money in it. He's got access to the land behind it and to the side of it. He's in the process now of talking to people. He wants to build, start with 9 holes lighted, then he's going to put another 9 hole, and there'll be 18 hole lighted short course for people to come out in the evenings and play. That's Keith's next big focus. So I think that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're breaking news here on the Cart Barn podcast.
Yeah, he may kill me for that, but I don't know. We've talked about it, and he wants to do it. I know that he wouldn't have said it. So Keith's a smart businessman, so he wants it to happen. But other than that, that's pretty much just, I got juggling a lot of balls and a lot of different things. And you'd mentioned Huntsville Country Club. If we went down that rabbit hole talking about Joel, and I love working with Joel and Gene. Those guys taught me so. Joel taught me so much. Gene taught me so much. Billy Cleveland taught me so much. It's those guys who have really, fueled me to kind of be where I'm at. So I know y'all got something to say about the goose. So
Cleveland, my old roomie.
Yeah, no, I love Billy.
At UNA,
Billy.
yeah.
Oh my gosh,
no, Billy's a good guy.
Billy and I talk a lot, and Billy was a huge influence on me. There's no doubt about it. He took care of me and taught me a lot of really cool stuff about this business that I'm in now. So I love Billy Cleveland.
That's a lot of experience in those guys, and a lot of BS in them too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Some more
all
than others.
3 of them.
Some more than others.
Yeah, but like I said, just me being able to be around the people that I've been around, I believe that things happen for a reason, and I believe God puts you in certain places at certain times. And for me to be around those type of people throughout my, 30 years doing this, it's helped me tremendously.
Sure.
I feel like at least get to where I'm somewhat at. I'm not, the dream job would be a Division I coach, but this job at Northwest, guys, it's really my forever job. Hopefully it'll turn into a full-time job down the road. I'm teaching, so I'm home finally. Don't want to go nowhere. I've been to Pensacola. I've been to West Texas. Over the last 5 or 6 years, I've been to a lot of different places, but I got to meet really good people in those places. Pensacola, Marty Stanovich with the first tee. I learned a lot from that guy. So I was able to be around Boo and Bub a lot at Stonebrook. So like, just where God has moved me. Sometimes I think, what in the world am I doing? But at the end of the day, he's put me around some really, really good people who've taught me a lot of things. So.
Well, good deal.
Well,
You'll have to hook up the car barn with some Northwest Shoals golf gear now. Just throwing that out
100%.
there.
I promise you guys, you'll get a hat and a shirt. I'll get you guys a hat and a shirt. Yeah, you got to wear it though.
I need a floppy. I need a floppy cat hat. I've graduated to that.
Oh, you wear floppies? Okay, we can do that.
When it's not too windy. If it's windy, I don't. But anyway, so anything free is good, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, Greg's motto: "If it's free, I'll take 3."
Well,
Well, Tim, thanks for coming on the Cart Barn. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you and the golf team and that program getting it started. And we'll have to have you on and give us some updates this next year. Thanks
Yeah,
again.
no, I would love to do that. No, thank y'all. I mean, like I said earlier, like just knowing some of the guests you guys have had on here and what you're doing with this podcast, I think is really cool. Really, it's a really good thing. So for you to ask me to be on, that's an honor. I mean that when I say that. So thank y'all very much.
good deal. We'll be in touch, Tim. Thanks a lot,
All right.
man.
All right, guys. Take care.
Well, we want to thank Tim King for stopping by the Cart Barn. We had an engaging conversation with him. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah, Tim's a great guy. We've known him for a while now, and appreciate him talking about community college golf, starting up a program, and his involvement with the SNAG golf initiative that gets kids in schools introduced to the game of golf. And next week we got another great guest coming up, pro tour caddy Hunter Hamrick, who loops for Nick Dunlop. We had a chance to talk to him pre-Masters, so we won't get the details on Nick's tournament there, but it was an interesting conversation with Hunter about life on tour and how he goes about caddying.
Yep. Looking forward to sharing that one with you. Thanks again for stopping by the Cart Barn this week. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you again next week on the Cart Barn Podcast.